Alright my friends, welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew and today we're going to be doing a video talking about why the hell do we keep falling for this Nvidia marketing. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. But first I want to read you guys a little bit of a comment from somebody in the community that we're going to go ahead and we're going to address this. So I'm going to call them Day End. Yeah, I'm just gonna call him Day End. I don't know how to say that. It says, oh boy, I have a lot of thoughts. Looks like the leaks were part of the marketing strategy. Leak high prices, then have people feel relief when the prices stay the same, so those prices now become normal. That being said, I really think same price with higher performance can give us a better value. I have a 6800 XT and it's an awesome GPU, but AMD always seems to be behind on features, and while DLSS has come a long way, FSR has not. That and AMD basically showing almost no info on their new products makes me think that this generation they admitted defeat. So guys, we're going to address this because it's not just me that thinks that the marketing is a sham, dude, is a scam. So, all right, guys, if we look at this and we take this back to the beginning, we started getting the leaks. You know, I mean, I was watching a lot of Moore's Law is Dead, but not anymore. That guy kind of lost credibility with me during this whole thing. Yep, 100% lost credibility. I do not care for false information. I think it is absolutely a cancer in the PC space. I think it's a cancer in gaming altogether. And the more these guys do it, and the more these guys make profit off it, the more it drags down. The more it drags down gaming. Period. So if you look at the leaks, I only watch Moore's Law is Dead, so that's where I got all my information from, whatever, and those are the leaks that clearly this dude's getting paid by Nvidia. Okay, he comes out, he's got all these leaks, they sound legit, they sound like they've got, you know, that he's got like stores, all kinds of stuff, and they test the waters with these leaks. They come out, they're like, yeah, 5090 is going to be $2,500. You're going to look at 5080 and like the prices, you know, like $1,600 and all this stuff with the amazing uplift that you're going to get from the Blackwell GPUs. And you just look at that. Okay. And you already know that, like, oh my gosh. And then everybody gets mad. Everybody gets mad at Nvidia. I mean, think about it. I made a few videos and they did very well over those alleged prices. But then we sit down, we watch the CES, Jensen comes out, and he delivers like a knockout punch to AMD with like these way lower prices with this amazing uplift of 4070 or 5070 at 4090 power. Wow, that is incredible. That was mind-blowing. But then you look at the 5090 and the 4090, and then there's another part of this, okay? Like, this is just the first part. They come out with these prices, and everybody's just like, whoa, man, AMD's freaking dead, like on the spot. Even AMD fans in my live stream talking about how AMD is cooked. Nvidia just cooked AMD. AMD's running scared. They're hiding in a closet, whatever. They didn't want to even show their cards because they knew they were just freaking whooped. And then everybody runs with this. 4090 power for $549. I even was like, wow, that is pretty good. Like, I was falling for it just like everybody else. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, damn, dude, that is very good. That is very good. And I'm like thinking, dang, man, I'm gonna buy a 40 or 5070 and I'm gonna run it next to my freaking 7900 XTX, and if it destroys it, absolutely I will buy a 5090. Whew, man. And then today, all the freaking other paid shills come out. First you have the leaker shills. They get paid by Nvidia to leak these prices, to test the water, to go ahead and set pricing or make Nvidia seem like they are doing you a favor by way overcharging you. But it's not that bad because they could have done it worse, but they didn't do it as bad as they thought, so everything's fine. So that there builds a little bit of like, okay, yeah, this is good. I'm happy. I'm excited. Prices are high, but they're good. You know, they're manageable. They're manageable maybe. I don't think they're manageable. but then the shills come out. The other shills. You know, I call these the second line because these are the guys that get the second hand. They get to try Dun, 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 the game they resurrected from the dead, Cyberpunk 2077, and oh my gosh, the uptick is just massive. Until you like look at like the real uptick. You take the 5090 and you get the 4090. The 4090 did FPS with everything turned on with path tracing at 21 frames a second. The 5090 does them at 28 frames a second. So neither one of these cards are going to give you path tracing at 60 frames a second. You have to rely on multi-frame generation. The new thing that is exclusive to the freaking 50 series cards. If you want to play this at 3 times the frame rate, you gotta buy a 50 card. Dang it. One of those things that are locked. But to make Nvidia not catch as much hate as they did last time, they actually rolled out some of these other features that are coming to 50 series to the 40 series, but they just might not run as well because you don't have the new setup for doing the AI, the faster AI, and what did they change it from, like CCM to transistor or something, or transducer, something. It starts with a T. I see. I don't even care. Like, I'm so over the whole nonsense from Nvidia that I just don't care to try to learn this stuff to the point, because it's like it's just garbage. It's just more garbage that is just degrading gaming every time they put out a new GPU. So these are the second line of defense, and of course you've got Digital Foundry. Digital Foundry, Rich Ledbetter comes out and he's like, gotta get that Nvidia money, bro. I used to respect Digital Foundry, and I still do respect John Linneman, but the rest of them, I think they're shills. I literally think they're shills. Richard Ledbetter is probably the best one. He comes out to soften the blow because he's the expert in visual quality. So he comes out and he starts talking about how incredible this multi-frame generation is. I mean, dude, if you go back and you watch Alex Battaglia when DLSS and all that first started coming, that dude was like pretty negative about it. But now all of a sudden he's like a super fan of DLSS. Nothing can touch his DLSS. And you know what, guys? They're already complaining about, or not complaining, they're already talking about how there's no more ghosting, there's no more artifacting. There's all of this stuff that Nvidia fanboys have literally been telling me that there's none of this whole generation. But dude, see, I'm smart. Like, I bought these cards and I could see that shit myself. So I'm like, okay, whatever, guys. So I don't try to fight back with them. But now you have the experts coming out and pointing out that that stuff is gone now. So for 2 years, we've been lied to by all the Nvidia fanboys and everybody else saying that it's much better. But now it's even better because now it's got more better ray reconstruction, blah, 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 whatever. Just more nonsense. But it still doesn't address the fact that for $2,000, you can now go from 20 frames to 30 frames on a 5090 for $2,000. For tech that Nvidia has been pushing and put out there for this ray tracing, we are in 20 series, 30 series, 40 series, 50 series, and we still can't get 60 frames a second at 4K after 4 generations. Think about that. Think how much money, if you're the one that has to have that, if you're the, oh my gosh, I got to buy this every generation, you had the 2080 Ti or whatever the fastest card was in the 20 series. Then you had the 3090, then 3090 Ti, which was $2,000. So if you bought a 3090, you were like, oh my gosh, I'm selling that and getting the other one, just so you could get better ray tracing. Then you got the 4090, thankfully. Thank the Lord that they only did one 4090. So now you got the 4090 that you're buying with the frame generation for another $1,600 to $2,000. And now a 5090, bro. Now a 5090 for another $2,000. If you're one of them people that absolutely have to have the best, your gaming habit is getting very expensive. I am sorry to tell you, but you are getting ripped off massively every single time that you keep chasing this magic. Path tracing will never, it's infinite for Nvidia. Infinite. They can infinitely cripple your card at the drop of a hat by adding more bounces. They can automatically destroy your performance with path tracing every single generation. Like, I mean, like, what are they up to? Like 3 bounces? They're up to 3 bounces and they're already killing your freaking 4090s and 5090s? Dang. Imagine 10 bounces. How would you do that? I mean, literally you have to use frame generation from 30 frames a second with performance DLSS. performance DLSS. Isn't that like 1080p, my friends, my Nvidia bros? Isn't that like 1080p or something? You know, you always tell me you can't use the FSR Ultra Performance because blah, blah. But you can on a $2,000 GPU to use frame generation coming from 30 frames a second, which we all know that is not very good. And you got all these dudes out there. You got Linus Tech Tips. You got them all the paid shills out there telling you how great and wonderful this new multi-frame generation is. Sitting there, I mean, like literally Linus Tech Tips acting like a freaking schoolgirl for this stuff, dude. I'm like, really, dude? Really? It's not that impressive. It's just frame generation, bro. You're sitting there running around. He's like, oh my gosh, this is so smooth. And then Richard Ledbetter trying to sell this shit to you. Honestly, man, that is smart. Nvidia's smart going after these guys that people that the average consumer trusts. You know, oh man, Digital Foundry, they would never lie to me. They always tell me that my games are not up to snuff. They always point out everything bad. They always zoom in 500% to show me that gosh damn freaking shimmering over there on my game that I want to play that 99.9% of gamers don't give a shit about. Don't even care. And you could go to, trust me, I know gamers in real life, and not one of them have ever come up to me and go, you know, Frog, there's so much shimmering in my game. How do I get rid of that? Never once, dude. Nobody even talks about that stuff. The only people that talk about that are the freaking people that are out here shilling these products. Period. Real gamers do not care. They just don't care. I'm a real gamer. I just don't care. Like I've said before, shimmering, that's a Digital Foundry problem. That's not a me problem. When I found Digital Foundry, and this is the thing, guys, I used to respect them. I used to like them. I used to be like, yeah, these guys are there for the gamers, and they're just trying to keep the developers honest. And no, dude, after DLSS came out, they started shilling this. They started shilling it. You know, John Linneman is really the only one that I still respect just because I know he's like an old school gamer and that's what he focuses on. He tries to stay out of this stuff now. He tries to just focus on console stuff and like the older stuff. And I respect that. I respect that. You know, it's because I feel like he has, what's it called? I feel like John Linneman is the only one that actually has any kind of integrity, to be completely honest with you. And I mean, he does shill, he does do his part to keep his job shill. I think he would be so much better if he just left Digital Foundry and went on his own. Because, yeah, dude, like the shilling for Nvidia has become so freaking bad. It's not even funny. Like, how can you look somebody in the eye and be like, yeah, dude, you just bought a 5090 for $1,600, but you get 8 more frames. You should buy a 5090 because this new multi-frame generation is the bee's knees. I've tried all the frame generation on the Nvidia GPUs, guys. I bought a 4080 Super. I spent $1,200 of my own money to buy that card so that I could test it, so that I could see for myself if it was actually worth the crap. And you know what? I didn't really care for it. It was much the frame generation that you get with AMD's Fluid Motion Frames 2 on every game, DX11 and DX12. Even Cyberpunk, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's actually better. You do get like a little bit more flickering when you're turning, obviously because of like FSR and stuff or whatever. But like the frame generation felt way smoother. It felt like it had less latency. It felt better. It felt really sloggy. Even like Witcher 3 feels sloggy when I'm using like frame generation from Nvidia. But when I put it on freaking AMD's Fluid Motion Frames 2, and I'm just like, whoa, man, on a 3440 by 1440p monitor, I was like, no way this is freaking 240 frames a second. This feels so smooth. This feels good. The latency is really low, like 8 or 9 milliseconds. I'm like, dang, this is impressive. Impressive. I was like, that is cool. And I'm like, wow, I could actually utilize this. Now, let me be fair. AMD's Fluid Motion Frames 2 is not good on every game. Some games it is atrocious. Some games it's bad, but it works on all of them. And if you set your settings, you know, to a certain point, you lock your frame rate, all of that kind of stuff, you can usually get pretty decent performance out of it. But there's always this thing to try to downplay AMD all the time. But now let's switch over to AMD and let's answer my good friend's, you know, my good friend's little question right here, where he's like, FSR has not, and AMD basically showing almost no info on their new products makes me think this generation they admitted defeat. No. See, here's the thing, guys. AMD is obviously always backed into a corner with these leaks that come out because they are powerful. They are powerful. There's a lot of these people out there on YouTube that do have a lot of pull, and they kind of back them into a corner, and they all back each other up. If you haven't noticed that, if one of them, if somebody comes after Nexus Gaming, everybody, or Gamers Nexus, then everybody will back them up, and it's the same. Like everybody, Jay's 2 cents, all of these dudes that are in there, they all have like backup. They will all swoop in to back them up or something like that. I mean, like you got Gamers Nexus like going after corporations and stuff all the time, and like calling them out. Like once they get to a point that they are pretty much if they go negative against a product, then pretty much that whole community is gonna follow them. They do respect them. They do have enough power to like really make a dent in these companies' profits. So they do. They bend the knee. They bend the knee, and that's fine. You know, honestly, you know, they should be there to keep companies. They should be there to keep companies honest. That, you know, that's what we would expect if we're watching a YouTuber. We're like, yeah, man, they're there to keep the guys honest. Well, sometimes I don't feel like they do that. Sometimes I feel like they use their influence to bully other companies. I do. I honestly do. Because if you look at the amount of things that happen, especially in the PC space, okay? Like, we all know that there's a lot of DIY out there, okay? And you know that, like, hey, man, when somebody's at home putting something together and they mess up, and then they try to RMA it, and Asus is like, no, dude, this looks like you broke it. You know what I mean? And then they send it back, and then they get all heated and stuff. We all know that, like, people make mistakes, and like, hey, man, if AMD doesn't want to warranty something that they think that is malicious or whatever, that's fine, you know? And then you have like Gamers Nexus or other people going after them, whatever. That's cool. Yes, keep the developer or keep the companies honest, but don't. I don't know. Sometimes it just seems a little bit fishy to me. Sometimes it just seems a little bit fishy how some of these YouTubers use their influence and their power to. I feel like some of them do it in a. I'm not saying that Steve from Gamers Nexus does this, but I'm saying that he's got a lot of power. That would be very easy to abuse if he needed to. Now, I agree with him, you know, on all the stuff that he's went after him. I'm not saying that he is doing that. I'm just using him as an example because he is very, like, going after NZXT right now for their freaking rent-to-own forever program. Hell yeah. Good job, Steve. That is very nice of you to do that and to put in that work. So I am giving him credit, but I'm just saying that is, these guys have enough pull that they could use it nefariously. Now, out of all of them, like Gamers Nexus, I do trust him, and I'm like, yeah, you know, that dude does seem like he's got integrity, so I do not feel like he's doing that, but I do feel like some of these guys could absolutely use that to try to knock AMD down a peg all the time. So basically, to get back to this, what we were talking about, you know, the whole AMD didn't even show up. Well, here's the thing. AMD kind of feels backed into a corner right now. I actually do have somebody on the inside that I do talk to, you know, that I talk to, and they kind of do feel like they are a little bit backed into a corner right now. And you know, like with the whole pricing thing, with the power thing, all of that stuff. AMD, I mean, you can watch other channels. Like, you can actually watch other channels because they've come out and said this, you know, like Hardware Unboxed, all of them. They've come out and said that, like, look, man, AMD has said that, like, look, all of the leaks were wrong. They were lies. And that's exactly what the person I talked to told me too. Like, I hit him up and I was like, because when they first started talking about the power and all of this stuff, I hit him up and I was like, dude, it sounds like they're trying to do the same thing they always do, is put you guys in a situation to where it makes you look bad. And he's like, dude, it sucks, man. It sucks. We do this every generation. And I was like, yeah, dude, I completely understand that. Like, it's bullshit and I'm sick of it. I hate how they do this to AMD every generation because, dude, every single one of these AMD 7000 series cards literally trades blows with the Nvidia cards. The only thing that doesn't work on these AMD cards is that damn Nvidia ray tracing shit that they put in these games. That's it. Like, and most of them are like, they run, if you don't got a 4090 or a 4080, they run poorly. And you know what, Nvidia bros, say all you want. It's so good. Whatever. I tried it on a 4070 Super and a 4080 Super, man. It did not knock my socks off. It was literally like, why am I even doing this? Why am I even using this shit? It's barely playable. I have to use frame generation, and it feels sluggish to me using frame generation on the Nvidia GPUs. It doesn't feel as fluid as AMD's Fluid Motion Frames 2 that actually works on every damn game that's DX11, DX12. So yeah, come at me all you want, Nvidia bros. I'm right here, man. Like I bought this stuff with my own money. Nobody's giving me free GPUs. If Nvidia was better than AMD, hell yes, I would be rocking AMD or Nvidia. LG C2, badass TV. Freaking love it. You know what? LG's the best. So happy with that TV. I bought LG ultra-wide monitor. Absolutely incredible. This thing right here is the bee's knees. Is it even on? Yeah. Is the bee's knees. Absolutely incredible. PlayStation 5 Pro. Incredible. Fanatec DD Pro. Look, Fanatec. Premium Fanatec. All of this other stuff, premium. Sony camera. Recording on a Sony camera. FX30 Sony camera costs as much. Actually, this costs more than a 4090 for this camera that I'm recording on. All premium stuff. Razer Inky gaming chair. Premium chair. $500. $500 for a chair. Could I've got a better one? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I like to dip my toe in the water a little bit. 7900 XTX, the best card you can get from AMD right now in my GPU or in my PC. 7800X 3D, second best gaming CPU you can get on the market right now in my PC. Samsung 980 Pro, top of the line freaking SSD that you can get for your PC. If Nvidia was the best, trust and believe, I would have Nvidia every day of the week. If it was the best, I would have it. Look, for productivity and stuff, yeah, Nvidia does good. For gaming, I hate it for gaming. I literally hate it for gaming. I do not think it is a gaming GPU. I think it is smoke and mirrors. They try to sell you every damn generation with this crap. When I look at PSSR on the PS5 Pro, okay, I like it. Why? Because it maintains the performance that I got and enhances the image quality. I like that. It's not trying to go out of its way to do anything super special. It's just giving me good image quality at a console level on a 4K display. And it looks fine. It looks good. I appreciate it. I appreciate that it looks better than checkerboard rendering. And that shows that even though PlayStation's out there charging us all of this PlayStation tax, at least they're putting it into research and development to make your experience better. Should they have launched this at the beginning? Absolutely. Absolutely, guys. I think they should have launched it, but clearly RDNA 2, you know, I mean, RDNA 2 can do the ML upscaling. It's just a lot harder to do that on there. So trying to put it into the PlayStation 5 and still keep it affordable at $500, stuff like that. I get it. You know, coming out with a Pro console 4 years later, you know, you've already built up a collection of games. They're like, hey guys, you want to buy this? We're going to sell it to you for $700, no disc drive, whatever. Okay, for me, it worked out perfectly because I buy all my games digitally. So I didn't mind. I was like, okay, that's cool. That's fine. I got it. So, but yeah, I definitely feel, so like I said, AMD just, they're reevaluating right now. They're looking at the situation they're in to find out exactly how to price this the 9070 XT. The 9070 XT is going to have 7900 XTX or XT power. That's pretty damn good GPU still. That's a solid high refresh rate 1440p card. It's going to have better ray tracing performance, and it's going to have FSR4. FSR4 will be coming to RDNA 3. Mark my words, it will be coming. RDNA 3 can 100% run, you know, first generation AI accelerators. It can run that, so it will be coming to RDNA 3. But as they're trying to get it ready for an RDNA 4 launch, they're not talking about RDNA 3 just yet. But I'm pretty sure it's going to come. It's almost dang near guaranteed. RDNA 2 though, Okay. Obviously, we've seen it running on PSSR on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Now, I would assume that if and when it comes to RDNA 2, it is probably going to perform pretty similar to what PSSR is doing. PSSR is basically written on RDNA 2. They've used like if you watch the Mark Cerny thing, they've talked about how they've utilized that. They've utilized some code to utilize the memory and everything that's inside the chip itself to be able to do that. Yes, you can run PSSR or FSR 4 on RDNA 2, but it definitely is going to be more of a, like what it does with PS5 Pro. It maintains the performance and increases the image quality because it is quite expensive to run it on the PlayStation 5 Pro. So yes, you'll probably get a little bit better performance out of RDNA 2, but I wouldn't expect it to be like massive performance gains. I would expect it to be more centered around increasing image quality at a stable frame rate. I think that if anything, that's how it's going to work on RDNA 2. So guys, yeah, when I look at what Nvidia does for gaming, I'm appalled. Like sometimes I'm like, wow, this really sucks. Now you're gonna try to sell people 3x frame generation for more money? Like really? Like that sucks. You're gonna come out with this marketing that makes these cards look like they are absolute behemoths, when in reality, the 5070. Let me look at this real quick, guys. The 5070 Ti is 43.9 teraflops, 256 bus at 16 gigabytes of GDDR7, 2.45 gigahertz, 70 SMs, whereas the 4070 Ti Super was 66 SMs, 2.61 gigahertz, 44.1 teraflops, more powerful than the 5070 Ti at 256-bit bus. So this is essentially 4070 Ti superpower, which is essentially 7900 XTX or XT power. So in my mind, AMD's 9070 is going to compete with a $750 Nvidia GPU. It'll probably trade blows pretty well. Nvidia will obviously have the edge in ray tracing, obviously have an edge with DLSS, but you will now have FSR 4, and you will also have better ray tracing performance on a 9070 than you did on a 7900 XT. So when you look at that, now you understand why AMD is like, okay, how do we price this card? Okay, $500, that's too cheap. We would lose too much money. $550, we make a few bucks. $600, okay, that feels a little bit better. $650 is where we need to be. That's what the 7900 XT is selling for right now. $650 is where AMD needs to be for this GPU to create enough profit to reinvest into building more GPUs that will compete with Nvidia. So if you look at it from that point of view, they have to sell this for about $650. But right now, their backs to the wall. What do? How do they do that? They come out, they get freaking torched by the PC community because Nvidia is so much more specialer and they're better. And they will do everything they can to downplay the fact that the 9070 XT is pretty much on par with a 5070 Ti, which is $750 from Nvidia. And that's just the Founders Edition card. We're not even talking about the AIBs that are usually $100 more. So if you look at this and you take this into consideration, you have to look at it from that point of view. Like you either like AMD because of what they do and the image quality they produce, the Adrenaline software, the open source nature of it, the fact that there's a lot going on, or you don't, or you go buy Nvidia and you jump back on the hamster wheel and you run around in circles, not knowing exactly what you're going to get. Nvidia literally came out and told you that you get 4090 power from a 5070. They literally lied to your face and told you that you're going to get that much power when the 5070 is literally a 4070 Super. Yeah, 4070 Super. Like that's, maybe expect like 10% uplift, 10-15% uplift at max. Like you might get as much of an uplift from a 5070 as you did from a 4070 going to a 4070 Super, which wasn't much. That was like 5 frames, if that. So when you look at this from a realistic point of view, my friends, this whole thing is just like this whole thing is a marketing ploy, a marketing gimmick to get you to buy these GPUs, to make you to make you feel like you are missing out on something special, something revolutionary that half the time doesn't even work well enough to blow you away. Like, I get it. DLSS is a very cool thing. Like, it is. I personally don't like the image quality with DLSS. I like native resolution. Like, I am a native kind of guy. Like, I like native. I like the way it looks. I would much rather use, native resolution at a higher resolution and downsample. That looks better to me. My eyes like that a lot more than they like DLSS. So yes, it's a subjective thing. I like the way I like what I can do with my AMD cards. They don't feel like they're cutting corners. They don't feel like they're gimped or in any way. They feel like a robust gaming experience for me. And that's what I love about AMD. I think it's an incredible product. I love the color science that I get from AMD. It always looks better. It looks more bold. I like it. Everybody tells me till they're blue in the face that you can do the same thing with Nvidia. Trust me, I've tried, man. I spend a lot of time. It's just so much easier to do what I need to do. And I'm such a busy guy. I work a full-time job. I want to play video games. I got to make content. I got a family. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to sit there watching videos on Nvidia to figure out how to set it up. Like, I just don't have the time for that. AMD makes it simple. I like that. I like the simplicity. I like the consistency that I get from AMD. I do not want to buy a damn GPU for $1,000, play 5 games and have them be like, oh, these are great. And then the next one that comes out be running like crap because it doesn't work. I'm like, no. And I do. I mean, all of the other stuff, there's a lot of little stuff that I nitpick about on the Nvidia that I could easily overlook if it delivered on the other experiences that the AMD does. Absolutely, I could overlook that stuff. Just like I overlook a lot of the small things with AMD, like the not being able to do path tracing. That's small for me because it's like not really that great on the Nvidia GPUs. So it's like, ugh, I don't really care anyways. Like, I don't use it on those, so why would I care if I can get it on this? But ray tracing. If we talk about actual freaking ray tracing that's designed to work pretty good and optimized, it usually runs just fine on the AMD cards too. On the 7000 series cards, the XTX runs all kinds of stuff. Resident Evil 4, it runs freaking... Man, I was literally playing Star Wars Outlaws with all the regular ray tracing. It ran just fine. Absolutely incredible experience. 4K, everything. I'm like, wow, this is impressive. Try to turn on the Nvidia stuff and boom, there goes your old frame rate. There goes everything. Now it just runs like garbage. And it's like, dude, why would anybody care about that? Why would anybody invest that much money to use that feature? Because you're only getting that on the higher GPUs anyways. And then you look at a game like Indiana Jones, okay? You got all the shills like Digital Foundry and everybody out there showing you Cyberpunk 2077. They resurrected that game to show you how well it runs on a 5090. I want to see how Indiana Jones runs on a 5080 Super or on a 5080. I want to see how that card runs on that 16 gigabyte GPU because, oh boy, 16 gigs is 16 gigs. Why don't they show us that? Isn't that the new, most impressive path tracing with everything, the whole shebang? But they're going to resurrect Cyberpunk? Really? Really, guys? They're going to resurrect Cyberpunk 2077, a 5-year-old game, to show you that it runs 8 frames better than it does on a 4090. Instead of trying to show you how much better you're going to get out of a brand new game like Indiana Jones. I mean, even Black Myth Wukong is only running at 30 frames per second on a 5090. Like, this is terrible, my friends. This is absolute terrible. Gosh. I did make a video a little while ago. I told you guys straight up, look, this generation is absolutely going to be AMD and Nvidia reshuffling their deck and then trying to sell you on software upgrades for performance gains. AMD's doing the same thing with the 9070 XT. They're giving you FSR4. They're giving you, you know, probably a new form of frame rate interpolation or whatever. It is what it is. I mean, if you don't like it, turn it off. In my experience, the AMD's frame generation has just been better. So obviously, I'll be buying an Nvidia GPU and an AMD GPU to test them out myself this generation. But yeah, guys, to me, it's yeah. I made that video and I called this. Like, I called this. This is how it was going to come out. And, you know, I really did think the Nvidia was going to try to do $1,200 for at least $1,300 for the 5080, but obviously I don't think the uptick is just not enough over 4080 Super for them to do that. I think I have a picture of that one too. I think the uptick of 4080 and 4080 Super, 4080 Super is 80 SMs. 5080 is 84 SMs. 4080 Super is 2.55 gigahertz. 5080 is 2.62 gigahertz. The 4080 Super is 52.2 teraflops. The 5080 is 56.3 teraflops. 256-bit buzz, 16 gigs of GDDR6 on the 4080 Super, and then 16 gigs of GDDR7 on the 5080. And then the power range is 320 versus 360 at $999. That is not a massive upgrade. That is not super big. Like, you're looking 5 to 10 frames at native, at running a pure Rasta. And then, yeah, obviously you get the multi-frame generation, whatever, so it'll make it seem like it's better. But yeah, it's not going to be that big of an upgrade. And just for reference, my friends, just for reference, 5080, 56.3 teraflops. AMD Radeon RX 7900 XT is 52 teraflops. It's literally in line with what you get from a 4080, from a 4080 Super. They're both 52 teraflops. They really run pretty similar on a lot of games. Like, there were some games that favored Nvidia, but I was like, wow, this is pretty dang close. If you go back and you watch those videos, when I had the 4080 Super and the 7900 XT, I was like, dang, these are pretty dang close. I mean, I'm just a regular gamer playing the same games on the same TV at the same build and everything, and I'm like, dang, these are pretty close. And then I bought the XTX, and I was like, wow, that is a noticeable improvement over both of those, so I kept it. Simple. So, guys, all right, man, if you like this content, do not forget to like and subscribe. I know this one was all over the place, but I had a lot to say today. And, you know, I've sat there and just been, you know, a little bit frustrated with this whole gimmick, marketing gimmick from Nvidia. And it's pretty frustrating to watch all these shills out there shilling this stuff. I really do think Nvidia is going to be the next honey, my friends. This is bad. Pretty soon they're going to be like, oh, man, if you want this feature, you're going to have to stream it from our freaking Nvidia farm because the GPUs are just too big to fit in your house now. All right, guys, have fun. See you in the next one. If you like this content, please hit that like. Please hit that subscribe. Help me grow so that I can get bigger, so that we can actually like call this stuff out and bring gaming back to gaming, and you know, get the shills out of the space so they stop ruining gaming for everybody, man. So all right, guys, we'll see you later. Bye.